All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Voices of the Industry. Those who are new to the channel, welcome. This is a podcast dedicated to highlighting the unsung heroes of the visual effects industry that bring you your favorite TV shows and film. Want to give you a look behind the scenes to the people involved. And this week, man, we're doing something a little bit different, man. We're going to be talking about the world of anime. I know there's a lot of anime fans out there, so we brought someone on who's got a lot of experience with licensing and bringing that to the people, and covering not just bringing properties over, but also, licensing out to dope brands and some gear that y'all like to rock. So joining me today, we got Mike Fukunaga with us. So, bro.
Hey, how's it going, y'all? Thank you for having me, Mr. Mike. Man, really excited to dive in, and it's an honor to be here with the voices of the industry, man.
Oh, for sure, man. And joining me today for co-hosting duties, I think he's very popular amongst the people, man. I hear whispers of him all throughout. He's only known by one name. He's so mysterious. He's like, share, bro. We got Lucas with us. What's up, bro?
Hey, man, what's up?
Yeah, man. So, usually I start off by kind of getting into, why people get into the industry and what inspired them. But man, you got deep roots, bro. Like you got some lineage, some deep ties into this whole space. So I kind of wanted to get into that for a little bit, man. Like what got you into doing what you do, bro?
Yes, sir. So I was kind of born in it and sworn in it, so to speak, right? So my family, my mother and father together founded a company called Funimation. Funimation licenses and distributes Japanese anime to the English-speaking markets, starting with the United States and bringing over Dragon Ball was the first property that we dubbed in English and distributed here in the States. And we attained that license, or my father attained that license through my great uncle. My great uncle Nagafumi was the original producer of Dragon Ball at Toei. And when my father reached out to do something entrepreneurial, asked my uncle Nagafumi, how Dragon Ball was doing in the American markets. And I said, well, Dragon Ball isn't in the American markets. What do you say we join forces and bring it in there together? And yeah, the rest is history. So yeah, started as a voice actor of wallow rolls, which is kind of like those extra noises that you hear in Dragon Ball. My sister and I, we as kids, would scream into the microphone, laugh or cry into the microphone, and they'd use those bites in the episodes themselves whenever they needed them. And yeah, and then from there, started working in the industry right when I turned 16. So right when I could drive, started interning for the family business, and yeah, been on this anime grind since.
Oh, that's dope, man. I know Dragon Ball is so influential for all of us, man. I know Lucas probably has some stories, bro. I know we were watching so much as kids that, you hear some dude in the stall going crazy next door, and you're like, man, this guy's over 9,000, bro. He's powering up over there.
Oh, yeah.
That's a hallmark of the 90s. I just think of like Tom and Toonami, you come home, you put on Cartoon Network, and then you see like the latest episode of like from one of these arcs. And yeah, man, I feel like that's how we got all of our introduction to all these different shows that were coming on. Then at the end, you would see that mark, Funimation, So very early on, we were always looking out to see like, okay, what else are they bringing over? Whether it be like, even though it's for the ladies, I saw a little bit of Sailor Moon. I saw a little bit.
Yeah, Sailor Moon was great, man.
Yeah, then they brought over things like Cowboy Bebop, and we saw shows like Outlaw Star, Rurouni Kenshin. There's so many that just like the list just goes on and on. Like that late night block we just up either was like, with Adult Swim and stuff. The audience is growing older, so with the content, they show you some other stuff you guys haven't seen yet. So
yeah, 100%. What were some of your favorites out of all of the Adult Swim Toonami blocks?
I always go with Cowboy Bebop, man. It's like that, and then when he brought out Samurai Champloo later, those shows, because I love the music influence with the animation. It adds so much more personality and character to where that song comes on and that's Cowboy Bebop, and then like New Jobbies.
Some days, some nights. Come on, man. Let's karaoke this out. You already know.
Oh man. I need the lyrics, but yo, for sure, man. I listened to that a lot. I had all of those New Javi's albums, and it was
Uh-huh.
crazy when he tragically passed away. Leaving late night, 5 a.m. from a late night studio session.
Mhm.
I couldn't imagine any other way that he would go out just, carrying on with his craft, just till the very end. Um,
Mhm.
and Shing would put out those like dedication concerts sometimes where they would go through and play
Yeah.
some of their from like the Love Six series. They'll play those tracks and
Mhm.
stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, as you can tell, man, I love that stuff. I got the box sets. Now let's flip it out right here.
Yeah, let's see it, man. Flex on us. Yeah, Samurai Champloo is one of my all-time favorites as well. Shinichiro Watanabe is easily my favorite director in anime. He also did Cowboy Bebop. And yeah, I thought Samurai Champloo was just like so ahead of its time and very
Oh, sure.
also making it super edgy as well. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, yo,
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
Samurai Champloo was the one.
Yeah, here we go. We got the Cowboy Bebop box set.
Hey,
Nice.
Here we go. And of course, we got the Blu-ray Samurai Champloo box set.
yeah.
There it is.
Man, it's clean. It's unopened too, right? Why'd you crack that thing open? You got any art cards in there?
Let me see. I'll probably for the Bebop one. Let's see. Do a review for the people. Let's see. Oh yeah, we got like a whole actual Blu-ray box set. Yeah,
Hey,
there it is. And we do have some cards in here. Yeah, we got some.
let's see.
There we go.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
that's
Oh
the
yeah,
man,
complete
Spike
with
Spiegel.
with the artwork. Yeah, some character turnarounds,
Incredible.
no doubt. Yeah, man, gotta love that.
Hmm.
Yeah, man. I don't know if you want to get into like any lore behind the scenes, because I know off air one time we kind of discussed about going into, Funimation kind of coming up and acquiring, local talent. Because, everyone, when you think of the entertainment industry, they always think of LA, New York, things being
Hmm.
based out of those cities, out of California and New York State. But, you're based in Texas, yeah. So, you know,
Yeah, Dallas, Texas, baby. Texan by the grace of God. So, but yeah,
Mhm.
when the family originally started Funimation, we were based out of Silicon Valley, San Jose, California, and originally used Ocean Studios, which is an incredible studio that dubbed a really popular anime like Death Note
Mm,
for
mhm.
Dragon Ball. And for whatever reason, it just didn't fit the market at that time, right? A lot of these major networks and the major studios are just like, hey, this Dragon Ball series, right? Like it's too violent for kids, it's too childish for adults. People like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, like what is a Goku man? What's a Vegeta? When all those doors closed, another door opened, and that door was in Fort Worth, Texas. It
Mm.
was actually a family friend of ours named Daniel Kokenauer, was willing to invest into this Japanese anime venture. And then when he did, we moved down to Fort Worth, Texas, where the Kokenauers live. And then from there, redubbed the anime series using local talent here in Dallas Fort Worth.
Mm.
And a lot of people don't realize that, Dallas is one of the largest radio syndication cities in the United States, right? So
Mm.
we got a lot of incredible voice talent. My alma mater, University of North Texas, is known for its liberal arts program and has a lot of like radio, TV, video majors, great programs there where you have young talent emerge from there. So we hired a lot of students and graduates from University of North Texas to be a part of this anime adventure. And about around the same time that we moved here to Fort Worth, we received a call from Cartoon Network, and Cartoon Network was like, "Hey, you know what? Like, we're starting this block, and it's like from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. You know, on these random off days, and we're gonna show Japanese anime. We're gonna call it Toonami, and we think Dragon Ball would fit inside this little network within the network."
Mhm.
And yeah, from there, everything really took off, and really credit that to um, a lot of the local talent here in Dallas Fort Worth. Yeah, like Sean Schimmel, for instance. He was a trumpet major at the University of North Texas, and we had convinced him to, do the voice for Goku and Chris Sabat. I'm not sure if he graduated from UNT or not, but I know he went to University of North Texas, and and he was, of course, the voice of Vegeta and Piccolo, and is now one of the biggest voice actors, and probably has the most characters under his belt, in the anime industry. So yeah. I mean, that's kind of how it is. Thank God for Texas.
Oh, for sure, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad hails from Houston, so yeah, I give props to Texas as well, bro.
Yeah, you already know. And there's like this unspoken rivalry between Houston and Dallas. I mean, shoot, man. Like, I know when the Astros go to the World Series, I'm always, cheering for the Texas team,
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So let's highlight, your own venture, man, being the CEO of your own studio, man, Futaku Studios, bro.
Yeah. So at Futaku, we specialize in creating 2D Japanese inspired animation for American intellectual properties. And we've had the honor of producing some really cool projects for people like Chris Brown, for Kiss, Nike, Jordan, through Union Los Angeles collaborations, which is, a streetwear brand. And we get to work with some really cool people and doing that. Yeah.
No, it's dope, dude. For when it comes to making these collaborations, is there like a pitch deck that you put together and you present to the client, or are these guys shopping around saying, you know what, they love anime and they want to find a studio that can kind of bring their idea to life?
Yeah, so a lot of it has been word of mouth and former clients referring to their friends and people who want to explore and dive into their own creative and anime venture. They come to us with like these fully cooked, incredible ideas. Some of them have character artwork, some of them have storyboards and designs. A lot of it is on paper, just or even in their heads. And we get to take that vision, and it's kind of a humbling process to process their vision and bring it to life through the animation media.
Oh, it's dope, man. That's fire. So they need like collaborations that really stand out, like you mentioned, Chris Brown and Kiss.
Yeah, definitely. The Chris Brown, that one stands out a lot in and of itself, just because of how polarizing he is as a pop star and the controversy behind him and all of that. Sometimes you just got to kind of shut off the outside noise and just listen to the creative side of things, right? I mean, at the end of the day, this is a guy who he loves Dragon Ball. He loved Japanese anime, right? And he loves it so much that he wants to create his own campaign that features him as an anime character to help market his merchandise for the Indigo tour. So that one really stood out because through working with agents and different label representatives, when it came down to the actual creation itself, I got to work with some members of his family. And it was really eye-opening, refreshing to see, family still being involved with a pop artist of that magnitude, and what it seemed to be like a camp completely protected by, some suits and agents and things like that. It was really eye-opening, refreshing to see that family is involved, and that hit close with me, with Funimation being like a family company too. So it was like, this is something that I'm pretty familiar with, and it just makes you feel a little bit more comfortable with the collaboration there. But great project, a really exciting adventure, and hope to make a couple more animated shorts with him and his camp.
Oh, it's dope, man. Talking about bringing art to life, man. I know you got another project with the guitars from Kiss, Tommy Thayer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that project called Art Force, right?
Yes, sir. Art Force, man. It is a project that was brought to me by Tommy Thayer, Jabo Scott, and Dan Meacham. And they came up with a series where like tattoos come to life as superpowers. right? So they had developed that story together. And whenever I was working with Tommy Thayer on a potential Kiss anime project, we were just like, hey, we need to bring this idea that they had to life through anime. And the reason why they chose tattoos is because J-Bo Scott was from Ink Masters, first couple of seasons of the Ink Masters.
Mhm.
And then he really put that idea into Dan Meacham's ear. Dan Meacham is the owner of VIZ Media, and he is actually the son of the former CEO of Hanna-Barbera,
Mm.
the guys who made like Scooby-Doo and Flintstones, all of that, the legendary animation company here in the States. And Hanna-Barbera had done a collaboration with Kiss before with Psycho Circus. They have a whole movie that's a Scooby-Doo and Kiss movie together.
Mm.
And then through that, they got to work directly with the band members, and
Mm.
they were the voice actors and stuff. And that's when they brought in Tommy into the venture. And then from there, they came up with this really cool idea, put it together. It was cooked, nice and baked very well. And then we got to kind of put an anime twist on it. And yeah, that's Art Force there right now. And so still pitching it, still running it through the pitching process, but it's been a really fun adventure with those guys.
Oh, dope, dude. Yeah, then I remember scrolling through like all the different projects you guys worked on, and there was one that stood out that, I was busting my side open with laughter, bro. The spot you did with Dr. G, man. Celebrity chiropractor.
Yeah. Yeah, Dr. G, man, best crack in Dallas, right? He is a chiropractor, cracks backs, cracks necks. It's like an ASMR type deal, but he performs on some of your favorite celebrities, right? So like Snoop Dogg, and he's done just countless like WWE stars and people like that. And we were putting our heads together on ways that we can work together, right? And Dr. G is just a really cool guy. And it was just like, hey man, like we got to do something with some of these voice actors, right? And hit up my homie Christopher Sabat, voice of Vegeta, and we made our own special animated short of Dr. G going Super Saiyan and giving chiropractic adjustments to Christopher Sabat in kind of like this, Namekian type universe and this Dragon Ball universe. So yeah, that was a really fun project.
Dope, man. Yeah, and so I kind of want to switch up and get into like the projects because I know you told me that you used to play ball, right? You were very athletic and got into sports when you were a kid and stuff.
Yeah, when you grow up in Texas, man, it's all about football, right? So whenever I wasn't watching anime, man, I was either in the gym or on the field. So football means a lot to me. Yeah.
No, so it's dope that when I saw you got to work on those type of collaborations with like Hall of Famers and big time athletes. So I want to kind of get into like those kind of projects because I know you said like the very first collaboration you did was UCLA, right?
Yes, yeah, UCLA football. Cam Brown. Met Cam Brown through a bunch of mutual friends here in Dallas, and Cam is the son of a Super Bowl winning corner for the Dallas Cowboys. So I got connected with those guys and created a concept called Super Cam, where we get Cam Brown and he transforms into kind of like an Iron Man type robot on the field, and does all these one-handed catches and eventually flies to the moon, right? At the end of the animation, right? So
yeah,
that was really a special treat because I played college football at a really small school here in West Texas. When you really love the game, it just never leaves you. So getting to work with these athletes and with these programs in some capacity, maybe other than playing for them, was really exciting. So yeah, and that was like at the beginning of all of the NIL deals, all this money coming into these collegiate athletes. So to help with the advertisement campaigns that they were putting on for these athletes was very rewarding, right? Because a lot of people would say that these athletes need to be fairly compensated for how much money they bring into their schools, and to help at the beginning stages of that was really a special treat.
No, for sure. And then from there, you got to work with like the Steelers, right?
Yeah. So So my buddy Larry Ogunjobi, I met him at Anime Expo his rookie year. So it was like 2018. And at the time, I was with Funimation and was specializing in giving kind of like these red carpet handler experiences to some of the special guests that we brought in during convention season. So I met Larry with two other great football players, Mike Daniels and Geno Atkins. You know, Geno just recently went to the Hall of Fame.
Mm.
And Mike Daniels, man, I mean, give him a gold jacket too, you know. Yeah, he was with Mike and Geno, the two veterans. That was his rookie year. Got to give them their badges, make sure that they had a great experience at the convention and the events and the after parties after. And yeah, we just kept in touch, and he actually came on as my only investor into Futaku, my studio.
Mm-hmm.
And in celebration of that partnership, we created a special anime for him as a Pittsburgh Steeler, and made an anime short that tags along with their "Here We Go" campaign, launched at the beginning of last season. So yeah, it was really cool, especially getting to work with like the Steelers organization too. That's such a legendary team program right there, ball club. Growing up, watching Troy Polamalu, right, and kind of modeling my game after him. And then even being at University of North Texas, Mean Green, we named our team after Mean Joe Green, and he played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So yeah. Getting to work with him and working on that project was something else, man. It was a really cool experience.
That's dope, bro.
Still haven't caught a Steelers game though.
Mm.
But now Larry plays for Buffalo Bills, man.
Oh,
so, yeah, Buffalo Bills are in win now mode, with Josh Allen at quarterback. They also brought in Joey Bosa at defensive end, and Larry Ogunjobi is going to be their defensive tackle this year. So, man, watch out for Buffalo Bills this year. Don't run it up the middle.
Oh, man, there you go. First.
Yeah. You already know.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I got a question.
Go ahead, dude.
Yeah, Futaku. What does that stand for? How'd you come up with that name?
Yeah, so Futaku, thank you. That's a good question. Futaku is a portmanteau. It's a combination of my last name, Fukunaga, and otaku, which is a term to describe somebody that loves Japanese culture. I think in Japanese, it directly translates to nerd, right? But, with otaku here in the States, meaning, somebody that really loves Japanese culture, Fukunaga being my last name, it's a combination of the two. And Futaku is just really, a bridge between American and Western fandom and our love for, this artwork that comes from Japan. So anybody that works with Futaku, reps Futaku, right? It's more of a communal fandom thing.
That's pretty interesting, man. Seems like a lot of thought was put into that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Whenever I went to Japan and was telling my friends about Futaku and the adventure, and they're like, oh, yeah, that's a great name. Futaku is actually a bell that's hung up at the corners of shrines and temples. And whenever it rings, it wards away evil spirits. So, like, when they told me that, I was like, yo, like, that has an extra level of depth into the meaning where I was just trying to like combine my last name and two terms really. And then to kind of discover that, it's kind of like, okay, it was like icing on the cake. Like came up with something pretty cool.
That's dope.
Oh, man, that is cool.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Man, I've been thinking about renaming it though. I'm not gonna lie. Don't nobody know how to pronounce it or spell it here in the US, right? Easy to get copyright and trademark.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things where, from a design point of view, let's say a client comes over and says, this is my design, this is what I want, the font and everything that I want to use. And, sure, everything's all gravy, except you're the only one that knows what it says. You're the only one that knows what it reads, all that stuff. So, Futaku, I don't know. I don't think it's that hard to spell, but I mean, it is catchy and like, how you just layered the whole, the combination, and then, your visit out in Japan, and it just seems to add a little bit of lore, unintentional lore, maybe. I always found it fascinating. First thing I did when, we first met is I'm like, Futaku, I wonder what that means. And I did my little search. I did land on that, but I was trying to remember right now, and I was thinking, oh, I think it was lanterns. That's why I decided to ask you again. So yeah, that's pretty awesome, man.
Thank you. Yep. It was a chime. Yeah. But it does kind of look like the shape of the little bell.
Yeah.
It does kind of look like a lantern. Yeah. No, I appreciate it. Yeah. And I think the logo looks cool, man. Like seeing it all typed out, all caps, keeping it black and white, kind of paying homage to like the Funimation aesthetic. Whenever I was on board, Funimation had the super sleek black and white logo with, big, bold, blocky letters. And I'm just like, hey, that was like whenever I first joined family business, that was our logo. And I was like, I just remember that just being so slick with the black and white. And before then we had like the single star with the red circle and the blue bar on this kind of like this off-white background. And then before the Crunchyroll merger, it was purple with the smiley face as the O of Funimation. But yeah, the Futaku like aesthetic is very inspired off of the Funimation like 2008, I think 2008 through like 2013, 2014, that era. Oh yeah, that's kind of what it looks like right there. Very similar.
Nice. Yeah. Well, it's nice and clean.
Yeah, can't go wrong with black and white, man.
Nope.
Follow up on that, I guess that was something that we wanted to touch on. It's just like, how did that acquisition from Sony and then of Crunchyroll, like how did that impact you guys?
It was major, right? It's just this massive, basically reinforcement inside the anime industry as a whole, right? So with the acquisition and the merger, anime is now more accessible to fans everywhere. You can now catch it in these massive, movie releases, blockbuster movie releases, and it's really kind of like signal boosted just anime in general. And now I think you could say that anime has become a globalization to where it's not only affecting America and not only Americans loving it, but people all around the world loving it as well. And so that's really what it's been like. We're seeing anime being these, kind of like this niche underground hipster movement, to go into conventions that, maybe had a few thousand people. Now it being this, you're a nerd if you don't like anime, right? And before it was a nerd, you're a nerd if you did,
Yeah.
So definitely, I think the merger really flipped the status quo on what it means to be a fan and what it means to be, somebody who is, admires pop culture and trends and things like that. It's set a very high bar for anime.
No doubt. Yeah, man. Like I mentioned in another interview, like my buddy Nick Paris, who's a designer at Funko, he was saying like next to music artists, like those are the highest selling like collectible figures are anime characters.
Oh yeah, I believe it. I believe it, man. Like we would be selling Funkos or doing a special release at San Diego Comic-Con or Anime Expo, and there were a lot of cases where we had to fire marshal had to clear the floor and shut it down because too many people were crowded up around the booth and crowded up in one place because everybody was out to get those Funkos, man.
Crazy. They go for a high bar on eBay for sure.
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah, so speaking of like those kind of collaborations, I guess we could get into covering like a few like the brand deals you got going on with different like clothing brands and different ways that people can just go out and sport their favorite anime. Because I know when we grew up in the 90s, we all had our Dragon Ball Z shirts, had like a whole closet full. But now it's expanded, now you're working with like some underground brands.
Man, so we connect brands to a lot of their favorite anime through officially licensed collaborations with the TV shows, right? So one of those, my most recent collaboration is Ice Shaker with the Gronkowski family. Rob Gronkowski, famous Super Bowl champion who won all those rings with Tom Brady. New England came back from the Buccaneers. Him and his family started Gronk Fitness, and one of the products that Gronk Fitness owns is Ice Shaker, which is a stainless steel protein shaker bottle, and it's fully customizable. Right? They received a lot of requests to get Dragon Ball characters engraved onto the bottle, right? Because so many people in fitness and in the gym love Dragon Ball. I mean, it's one of the very few superheroes that has to train to get stronger and better. And, Goku and Vegeta, they were always in that hyperbolic time chamber putting in work, right? So I think the fitness community is really inspired by Dragon Ball Z. And because of that, Ice Shaker received a lot of requests for those bottles. And I think Chris reached out to me. It's like, hey, Mike, we're getting all these requests. We want to do it, but we don't want to make anybody mad, in the Dragon Ball camp. So what do you say we put a ring on it and do something and do an official collaboration? So now you can get your own officially licensed Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, Shenron, Frieza, whoever, Ice Shaker bottle. And that's been really great because, before the only, anime type of bottle or accessory like that you can get was, plastic kind of leaked a little bit. And we got to bring really high quality product to the market. Helps the gym heads express their fandom, and it really promotes a healthy lifestyle, which are the kind of collaborations that we want to do. Do something that will help, influence people in a positive way and express their fandom in a healthy way as well.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, man. I don't know, Lucas, we might have to call one, man.
Yeah. No, like I said, I'll be out in y'all's neck of the woods for Anime Expo, still promoting the collaboration. I definitely want to run you guys a couple of bottles for sure.
No doubt, bro. Now it's sick. Yeah, if we could just touch on real quick then, man. You're going to be out here for Anime Expo, and that's like July 2nd. This interview will probably be out that time,
Oh, wonderful.
let people know. And then is there any other like event that you probably marked their calendars for that you might be showing up at to represent Futaku?
Man, so I'm talking to a handful of conventions about some exciting collaborations, but really for now, Anime Expo, I'll be pulling up and really just get to meet and hang out with a lot of my colleagues, face to face, because it's a lot of this nowadays, right? It's a lot of Zoom calls, it's a lot of phone calls and emails, right? And there's just something different about seeing somebody in person, being in their presence, and having that type of communal experience. And even though I'm here in Dallas, I'll buy a plane ticket and get a hotel every time, just to show up for my colleagues and clients and partners and things like that. So I think it's super important. But yeah, Anime Expo, hit me out there.
No,
Hit
for
me
sure.
out there with some shaker bottles for sure.
No, for sure. Sounds dope, man. Yeah, I don't know if you want to touch on like any other like clothing brand deals you got going on.
Yes. So I am partnering with an incredible brand called Rage Nation. So look into those guys, tap in. We're gonna have some incredible collaborations coming out. Your first ever officially licensed doll, Pashmina. Very popular in rave culture and EDM culture. Just want to find ways to let those people and that subsect of the music industry express their fandom, their anime fandom, while keeping it peaceful, right? Like, nobody wants to have any beef over at an EDM festival. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's out there having the time of their life. They're hollering, screaming that they want some anime. We're going to make sure we bring it to them. So tap into my guys at Rage Nation. Their designs are through the roof. The quality is just next level. And really, what they represent is what aligns with us the most, right? Just an elevated existence is what they what they stand by, right? Communal and elevated existence, really. I mean, you know, these EDM cats, man, like, you know, they just want peace and love, right? And anime as a community, what we want to promote as well. So keep your eye out for Rage Nation. You can follow them on social media. You can visit their website, ragenationapparel.com.
Mhm.
And we'll be rolling out some big announcements before the end of this year.
Dope, man.
Mhm.
Sounds fire.
Okay.
Yeah, speaking of,
Mhm.
is there anything you want to plug in terms of where people can follow anything Futaku or maybe you personally or future announcements of what you guys coming up next?
Yeah, for sure. You can follow us at Futaku Studios, Futaku Studios, plural, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of that. The website's futakustudios.com. We have a lot of actually trailers coming out that we're cutting for VIZ Media. You know, we're very proud to have that relationship, that working relationship with those guys. What we do is we take entire seasons of Naruto or Zom 100, Tokyo Revengers, or Castlevania, you know, all these licenses that VIZ Media holds, right? And help them with their Blu-ray, DVD, home video releases. They send us, you know, the full seasons, you know, 13 to 20 episodes, 22-minute format, and we binge watch the whole thing and cut it down to 90-second, 15-second, 30-second spots to help promote the release. And though it's a lot of work, it's so much fun. We'll be dropping some really cool trailers there. And then from there, you can buy some of your favorite anime and Blu-ray, DVD, you know, 4K UHD through Viz. So yeah, follow us for some cool trailers. We got some cool content coming out too, to announce some collaborations. Unfortunately, I can't talk about them too much yet, but we'll have some really cool collabs come out before the end of this year. So tap in with us, guys.
Sounds good, man. All right, bro. So any closing thoughts, closing remarks you want to leave to the public before we sign off?
Man, it's great to be considered a voice of the industry, right? This industry's got many voices, and you know, a lot of them express, you know, their own creativity, their own view of, you know, what it means to be an entertainer or it be entertainment. And just want to thank you again for letting my voice be heard and for highlighting anime, you know, one small sector, but blowing up, but a small sector of this industry that we love. So,
No doubt, bro.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate you making the time. I know you're a busy guy. I know you've been making flights to Japan, you know, here in LA, going all over, but you know, it means a lot for you to like consider us. You know, we're still coming up. We're still trying to reach as many people as we can to just kind of shed light. You know, that's all we want to do is it may give more of a leg up and be a part of that growth and that change that's coming.
Yes, sir.
Lucas, you got anything to say, man?
Just a big thank you to you both, and Mike. You know, thank you for joining us. It's just a pleasure, you know, hearing from just different parts of this big industry. You know, it's not just you know, us VFX guys in dark rooms. There's people like you out there, you know, that are pushing the boundary. And yeah, man, thank you for taking the time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, man. Anytime, man. So I hope that we get to kick it when I'm on the West Coast.
Oh, for sure. Just, you know, hit me up. I'm always down.
Hell yeah.
Sounds good, man.
Well, let's do it, man. Let's do it. Well, I'll see y'all in LA.
All right, man.
Stay frosty, man.
Yes, sir. Y'all too, man.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, take care, bro.
Take it easy. All right, man. Peace.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Be sure to check the next one. Be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell for the next video. And until next time, peace.